time. I think these are not your notes.
No, they're not.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Edmonds College. My name is Karen Magarelli, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here for Edmonds College. I'm pleased to welcome you this evening for a debate between candidates for the Washington State Secretary of State. We are proud to bring this programming to our community as part of a coalition, which includes the League of Women Voters, the American Association of University Women, Snow Isle Libraries, NAACP of Snohomish County, the Daily Herald, KSER and KXIR, and the Sultan School District. I want to thank our candidates for both being here, for their participation. I want to thank you, the audience, for your commitment to being an informed voter. And I want to thank TVW for broadcasting this debate. I now introduce to you the President of the League of Women Voters of Washington, Mary Coltrane.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, audience, for being here tonight. My name is Mary Coltrane, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters, I am pleased to welcome you to tonight's debate, where two candidates are vying for the position of Secretary of State. It's a very important position, a statewide position, and I thank you, audience members, for coming, and for those viewing, for taking time to learn about these positions so that you can, about the views of our candidates, so that you can cast an informed ballot. And I thank the candidates for taking time to come and share their views and their visions for this position with you. And I thank also Edmonds Community College for hosting this, and special thanks as well to TVW, because thanks to TVW, this debate will be available for people to watch throughout the state of Washington. And I encourage you all to take note of what you learned tonight, share it with your family and friends, and remind everybody that it's important to vote on November 5th or before. So thank you. And I will now turn it over to Teresa Whipple, who is our moderator, and she is with My Neighborhood News Network. Thank you, Teresa.
Good evening. Welcome to the candidate debate for Washington Secretary of State. I am Teresa Whipple, President and CEO of the My Neighborhood News Network, and I will be moderator for this forum. The Secretary of State is most well known for being the Chief Elections Officer for the state. In that capacity, the Secretary certifies elections, coordinates with the 39 county election offices, verifies initiatives and referenda, processes requests for overseas absentee ballots, and distributes copies of election laws and regulations. Another major function for the Secretary of State is as the state's Chief Corporations Officer, where the office registers and licenses all domestic and foreign profit and nonprofit corporations, limited partnerships, and trademarks. The Secretary of State also works to facilitate trade relationships and promote Washington State products and services abroad. As Mary mentioned, the general election will be on November 5th, and the ballots will be mailed beginning October 18th. The two top candidates from the primary appearing on the November ballot are with us tonight. Let's welcome them, Steve Hobbs and Dale Whitaker. We will be asking the same question to each candidate, beginning in the order that they appear on the ballot. And gentlemen, there is a monitor in front of you. I'm assuming you both can see that okay, and that will be keeping track of your time, but I'll also remind you if we get a little off track there. After the first question, the order of answering will rotate. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes or 90 seconds to answer. Candidates, also let me know if you need me to repeat any question, because some of them are a little long, and anytime I'm happy to do that. In addition, you have rebut cards there on your table, and each of you has one opportunity to rebut a response from your opponent tonight. If you want to rebut, please alert me by holding up the rebut card. Rebuttals are limited to 30 seconds, and once you've used one, there will not be any more. Finally, each candidate will have an opportunity to make a 90-second closing statement at the end. So that timer, just to remind you, will turn yellow when there are 15 seconds left, and then red when the time is up. Some rules for the audience, please. Please mute your phones. Hold applause until after the close of the debate. And we remind you that no recording of the forum is allowed. So we'll get started. We'll begin with Mr. Hobbs for this first question. What are the top issues you feel need to be addressed by this office? Please explain why you're focusing on these issues.
Well, currently, because the election is happening right now, it's cybersecurity threats and misinformation that's happening. With only a few weeks left to the election, we've had cybersecurity threats. We've heard of the National Director of National Intelligence who've even said that the Russians are going to try to interfere with the elections. So when it comes to the election part, we're hyper-focused on trying to keep our cybersecurity teams ready to go in the moment's notice, coordinating with Homeland Security, the FBI, the U.S. Postal Service, and our 39 county auditors. Beyond that, I would love to improve our corporations, charities, and nonprofits to be more responsive to the people of Washington State. That's why we're opening up a satellite office in Cheney. And also to help out with our rural libraries. We're doing more with them, reaching out to them, creating gaming libraries with the kids so we can have safe libraries, safe kids, where kids can go to have a good time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitaker?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we have to continue to secure our elections in Washington State, which is why it's curious that my opponent circumvented the people of Washington State by undermining them and entering into a consent decree, removing our 30-day residency requirement right before the November election. More than that, I think it's important to highlight that as the champion of election misinformation, Secretary Hobbs has told journalists at both CNN and the Spokesman Review that I denied the 2020 election, which I have never done. So it seems interesting to me that the person who is actively stating that we need to combat mis and disinformation is actively pursuing and spreading mis and disinformation in Washington State.
Thank you. Question 2, and this one will go first to Mr. Whitaker. What qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address these issues?
So I have been an accountant for 16 years. I've been in executive level positions for the last 10. And in that, I was the chief financial officer of a corporation that I found was defrauding our customers. And I went up against a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I blew the whistle to protect consumers across the United States, not just in Washington, but across the entire United States, forfeiting a very lucrative salary in doing so. I've led teams from small teams to large teams. I've led businesses from small budgeted businesses up to $40, $50 million a year businesses. I know I have the ability to run the Secretary of State's office efficiently and effectively for the people of Washington State.
Thank you. Mr. Hobbs, you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address these issues?
Thank you very much. You know, from the age of 17, I enlisted in the Army. And from there, I went on a deployment to Kosovo and Iraq. And there, I was actually involved with the first free and fair elections of those particular countries. And I never thought I'd be Secretary of State and using those skills forward. Worked at the NSA, attended U.S. Army War College, where I'm learning about strategic threats against elections from Russia, China, and also from within. And so I'm the only candidate that has the skills necessary to push back on these things. You know, the other thing, too, is I bring a different lens that we haven't had before with Secretaries of State. You know, my mom came to this country knowing no English. We learned together by watching Sesame Street together. And so having someone who is a person of color, who comes from an immigrant background, I think is important for this state because we've ignored those communities that have been disenfranchised. And so I bring that lens and that focus to the office that we haven't had before.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to question 3, and this one will start with Mr. Hobbs. Voter turnout in Washington is low despite a number of new laws that have expanded access to voting, such as same-day registration, restoring voting rights to those convicted of a felony, and adding drop boxes. If elected, what are some ideas you have for increasing voter turnout in Washington?
So we have started to increase the public outreach of the office. So we've asked the legislature for a boost in funding to reach out to the communities, and not just the general public, but also being hyper-focused on communities of color and disenfranchised communities. Just recently, we've expanded the office to do more with communities of color. We're trying to get next year a